Well, with the libloons and rhinos working together to run America, what could possibly go wrong today? Let's have a little look, shall we?
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty, and this is the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my rants. They're worth it. And then please do whatever you can to like and share these videos. That's how we build our algorithm so that we can build our audience. Some of you, if you notice a little subscription number, mine keeps dropping. And I have people telling me, Pastor Marty, I didn't cancel you. No, you didn't. YouTube did it for you. So make sure you're still subscribed, and let's really irritate them. Share this video. Thank you. Well, while Hunter Biden is allowed to escape, I should say skate, on IRS charges, drugs, guns, and everything else, money laundering, working as an unregistered agent for a foreign country in our country, and not being fined, not being imprisoned like a Paul Manafort, while he and the Biden crime family are allowed to basically just, get away with everything, and Donald Trump is under indictment. What is Dementia Joe up to this week? Well, Rochelle Walensky, that little, there's a word I want to use, but I can't because, you get censored here on YouTube. Well, maybe I will just go ahead and say it. That Rochelle Walensky, who ruled the CDC like, shall we say, a very zealous leader of a country that might have spoken German back in the 1930s and 40s. I mean, yeah, that word. All of the constant mandates, the changing of the mandates, the flipping, the flopping, the destroying our children for 3 years, destroying their education, destroying their early childhood development, forcing 2-year-olds to wear masks. I was on planes when a family was forced to keep a mask on an 8-month-old. And the airline people were not nice about it. In fact, they were rather acting like members of a gulag. It was really the airline industry were total fascist on all of this. But of course, they were empowered by the CDC and Rochelle Walensky working hand in hand with Fauci. I posted a lot of things about all this as it was happening in real time. And I was one of those people. I didn't wear the hat. I didn't take Love Potion number 9. And I would talk about it. And my videos would be taken down by YouTube. Then I started getting strikes. I lost my channel for 24 hours. I got it back. But I have been under numerous YouTube house arrest. Couldn't post for a week. Couldn't post for 2 weeks. Then you got to, pray that for 90 days they don't. So I simply abandoned the whole topic of COVID. Jimmy Dore over at the Jimmy Dore Show, he stayed on it. God bless him. And he has been on this and all over this. And got a little upset while more of us weren't talking about it. Well, I don't have the same connections apparently that he has, and anytime I even said the phrase, it was like I was under some type of reprimand or punishment here on YouTube. But now that we're able to talk about some of these things, Joe Biden, to deflect from the crises, which is his administration, has decided to inflict us with an even more libloon to direct the CDC, Dr. Mandy Cohen. Dr. Cohen is the former Secretary of Health for the great state of North Carolina. And in a recent interview, she was asked, how did you and the other secretaries of health, how did you determine what your state-by-state policies were going to be? What kind of science were you looking at? What were your determining factors? After all, you were the ones making recommendations to the governors about locking down the state, shutting down the schools, basically these draconian measures that you were taking to so-called save the planet. What kind of science were you using to base this? And this is Dr. Mandy Cohen, our new director of the CDC. This was the high-level, high-tech science that she was using.
I think the CDC did facilitate some more formal across state line learning. I think that was, ongoing, that they had done pre-crisis and kind of carried into COVID. I'd say at the leadership level, right, my counterparts in other states, a lot of our sharing of knowledge really rested a lot on personal relationships. So I would probably the person I called most was the Secretary of Health and Human Services in Massachusetts. She worked for a Republican governor but when she was like, are you going to let them have professional football? And I was like, nope. And she's like, okay, neither are we. It was like conversations like that. So, or I'd be like, so when are you going to think about lightening up a mess? They're like, next Monday. I'm like, okay, next Monday. So I would probably the person I called most was the Secretary of Health and Human Services in Massachusetts. Are you going to let them have professional football? And I was like, nope. And she's like, okay, neither are we.
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
Or I'd be like, so when are you going to think about lightening up a mess? They're like, next Monday. I'm like, okay, next Monday.
Gentlemen, Ciccolini here may talk like an idiot and look like an idiot, but don't let that fool you. He really is an idiot.
What? Hi, Mindy, it's Mandy. Hey, are you going to let the kids go to school this month? Yeah, me either. Really? That's the science? We know that the whole 6 feet, keep your distance, was all made up. There's more evidence now abounding, in the Cleveland Clinic is just constantly rolling out more and more case studies of issues with love potion number 9. The fact that the entire wearing the hat mandate was just ridiculous, did nothing, stopped nothing. And Mandy admits it. They were like 2 high school girls. What are you wearing to school tomorrow? Yeah, me too. I don't like her anymore. I don't like her either. Let's not like her together. And this is the person. And she went on to say that the reason that the states did things that way is there was not more central authoritarian control. Which lets you know exactly how she's going to run the CDC and your life. Because if you think there's not another pandemic coming, oh baby, oh baby, oh baby. And this time, they'll get it right. They'll do to us what they did to the people of India, where they were testing the digital passport. You remember when they experimented with passports here, that you couldn't get into certain venues without the proof of your papers, please. In India, everybody there has a cell phone. They don't have food, but they have cell phones. They're in destitute poverty, but they have cell phones. Everybody there has a cell phone. And your cell phone is kind of, your currency. And for the poor people, they would have their phone scanned so that they could be given their allotment of food that India gives to poor people. And so they were experimenting with the passport there, that if you had not been vaxxed and vaxxed current, when they would scan your phone, if you were not current, you couldn't get your food for that month. Kind of like when they do it here and they'll turn off your bank account, turn off your driver's license, turn off your passport. See where all this is going? But they weren't quite ready for it this time around. They didn't have the digital currency and us completely dependent on that yet. They didn't have the enough of a 5G network to make all that happen. And the woman who simply based on things, I don't like football, so I'm just not going to let people have it. And I'm going to call it science. This is now who's going to run your CDC. This is a gift to you from Joe Biden. Very interesting.
Are you going to let them have professional football? And I was like, nope. And she's like, okay, neither are we. So.
In other news, everybody is talking about Joe Rogan inviting Dr. Peter Hotez onto his show to debate Robert Kennedy Jr. Now, Robert Kennedy Jr., aside from the fact he has one of the most famous political names in the United States, Kennedy, his father, Robert F. Kennedy, his uncle, John F. Kennedy. He's running for president. He's got about, polling at like 20% or a little better. And he's been labeled as this anti-vaxxer, but it's because he's asked a lot of questions. Things like, why has there been such a substantial rise in autism? And it seems to coincide with the substantial rise in all these vaccines. And some people were talking about it openly. Even at one point, Robert De Niro. And I can't stand Robert De Niro. Even he was talking about it and the need to ask these questions and have the conversation.
But it's another thing. It's the result of. It's not questioning how some people got autism, how the vaccines are dangerous, if not dangerous to certain people who are more susceptible. And nobody seems to want to address that, or they say they've addressed it, and it's a closed issue, but it doesn't seem to be, because there are many people who will come out and say, no, I saw my kid change like overnight. I saw what happened, and I should have done something, and I didn't. So there's more to this than meets the eye, believe me.
Is that the experience you had, Robert? Something changed overnight?
My wife says that. I don't remember, but my child is autistic, and every kid is different. But there is something there. There's something there that people aren't addressing. And for me to get so upset here today, on the Today Show with you guys, means there's something there. That's all I wanted, was the movie to be seen. People can make their own judgment, but you must see it. And there are other films, other things that also just document and show. It's not such a simple thing.
And right after he did that interview on Good Morning America, he got a phone call and then recanted his support for the movie and went out and said, I really didn't have all my facts straight. So great, your son languishes in autism and you want to make sure you don't lose your next movie gig. We got it, Bob. We got it. Wow. If Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is this, moron, idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about, well, why wouldn't the good Dr. Peter Hotez want the opportunity to go on the Joe Rogan show and show up Kennedy for what he is, a know-nothing? Do that then. Prove it. The fact that you keep running and people like Mark Cuban are giving you cover, and Joe Rogan offered you $100,000 to the charity of your choice, other people got involved. It's almost $1 million. And I know that you're on the board for several hospitals there, Dr. Hotez. What a gift you could give one of your hospitals. Now, I really didn't know who this guy was, but he's one of these guys, he made the media rounds just like Fauci. And we find out that, certain vaccines that he has trashed is only because he owns the patent to counter vaccine. See how all this works? But Jimmy Dore did a great job, a phenomenal job, of showing us the progressive flipping and flopping by Peter Hotez.
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines.
Now, this is him. That was him in March 2020 when Trump was president.
Oh,
he was questioning the vaccines that he just spent 3 years pushing at the top of his lungs. So, okay, let's watch the rest of this, though.
Then something changed.
Any vaccine released by emergency use authorization by the FDA is an outstanding
vaccine.
J&J's vaccine has a risk of life-threatening blood clots.
When you hear the beep, that's the sound of safety.
So don't overthink it. They're both really good. They're all really good vaccines. Get vaccinated now.
You gotta call now.
If you wait, it's going to be really too late to protect your child.
If this was your child, what happens next could make it the worst day of your life.
So even though COVID poses zero threat to healthy children,
Vaccinate your children.
Do the right thing. Be safe and not sorry.
I'm strongly recommending for adolescents to get their 2 doses of vaccine and fully immunized after those 2 doses.
Advanced technology that can help save lives.
This is going to be a long-lasting vaccine. A long-lasting vaccine.
A few moments later.
We're seeing that 2 doses is not holding up well for emergency room visits. It's not holding up well for hospitalizations.
Here we go again.
Everyone's going to need a booster. You need that 3rd immunization.
Triple the amount.
Get that 3rd immunization. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine. This is a 3-dose vaccine.
Never said
But
that.
I'm not done yet.
That 3rd immunization, the problem is it's not holding up. So we may have to look at sort of innovative solutions.
Oh God, not this again.
A 4th immunization, just to keep them going, keep the country going. We have to consider some out of the box things. A 4th immunization, a 4th immunization. Get that 2nd boost, a 2nd boost to keep the country going. I've made that recommendation. A 4th immunization,
But I'm still not done.
Unfortunately, the numbers are starting to trend up again. So the hospitalizations are up. And so the most important message that I have this morning is get your new bivalent booster.
Willie and Lise were saying they got their booster, and I was like, oh, I need to get mine. And then I found out they're talking about the 3rd shot. And is that the bivalent, or is it the 4th booster, or does it matter? Like,
Don't worry so much about the number of.
There's no wrong way to use it.
You have to get it. This new bivalent booster.
You can double or triple stack them.
The new bivalent one is doing a much better job. You have to get a booster.
Yeah.
You need to get this new bivalent booster. That bivalent booster for COVID.
But does everyone ages 12 and older need a booster?
The answer is yes. Yes. And by the way, if you're over 50 and have gotten 2 boosters and more than 2 to 4 months out, you're going to need a 3rd booster as well, a 5th immunization.
5.
I don't think we're going to need an annual booster like flu.
Eventually.
Dr. Hotez supports yearly boosters, just like flu.
But I'm still not done.
It looks as though the boosters are not holding up quite as well as we'd like. And I think our thinking is going to change, and that what's going to happen is every few months we may need another booster.
Perfect results each and every time.
We just could not overcome that massive disinformation campaign, these fake concepts of herd immunity and discrediting masks.
Dr. Hotez, you are a national treasure.
It is picking off young people like we've never seen.
Dr. Peter Hotez, that was extremely informative.
Disinformation that you're hearing, that kids are fine, it's nonsense. Kids need to get that vaccination.
You healthcare workers have been our saviors.
Watch out for that misinformation.
Dr. Peter Hotez is probably one of the smartest people on this topic.
If you haven't gotten your 5 and ups vaccinated yet, now's the time to do that.
Dr. Peter Hotez, thank you for saving the world.
They also support giving that 3rd immunization for the 12 to 17-year-olds. People have to feel safe.
Dr. Hotez, you are a voice of reason.
Take down the fake information.
These fake concepts of herd immunity. Our last hope is to vaccinate our way through this. Make certain that everybody's vaccinated, including their kids. That's the single most important thing right now the American people have to do.
Dr. Peter Hotez is the person that we like to go to for the sort of expertise.
The single most impactful thing you can do is make certain that you're fully boosted and preferably 2 boosted.
Later.
Monkeypox is a global emergency.
And it's accelerating among a specific social network of men who have sex with men, not because it's sexually transmitted.
Monkeypox is sexually transmitted.
Exclusively.
Almost exclusively.
Before we let you go, we have to stop and applaud you because I had a lot of MSNBC viewers who have watched you constantly for the last 3 years or so and have come to trust you. I don't know if they fully appreciate what you have done.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Okay. Aren't you going to sleep better at night knowing that a Valley girl from California, actually Long Island, who became Secretary of Health of North Carolina, she's like going to be making your decisions about, what you're going to do with your health. Oh, yes, you're going to have a vasectomy. Why? Because you know what? I just don't like men, and I don't want to see any more kids running around. You know, and my other girlfriends that are, secretaries of human health of other states, they're going to do it too. And Peter Hotez. These are the people making our health decisions for us. I've said this before, and I will say it again. I am one of the few conservatives that I know am a very strong proponent and have been for a long time of national health care, because health care is expensive. And if we can fund the military-industrial complex in the most wealthy nation in the world, we could fund health care. The only thing that's given me pause on that is all of this. Because you know full well, if we had had national health care during the pandemic, yours and mine would have been turned off if we did not comply with the mandates. And as soon as establishment Washington, as soon as Big Pharma figures out how to get their piece of the pie, as soon as the government officials understand, wow, healthcare is another way we can control the masses, and they will do what we tell them, it'll make your head spin how many rhinos actually snap to it and join Democrats, and they give us national health care.